Hey guys, welcome to our channel. So we've decoded Manwich. Um, we got to the end, including the alphabetic order, except we recently discovered that these conversions will keep going. MN is 1314 in the alphabetic order. 1314 is ACMADN. We've been through these conversions. And if you come over here, you start with the numerology chart. MN is 45. And you can convert that to letters using the numerology chart, D, M, V, E, and W. You can convert that back to numbers and back to letters infinitely. And this is the fingerprint. That's what sets it apart. And MN there in the case of Manwich. STC in the case of Joan Jett and the Blackheart, stand and change to dancing. But we're on Manwich right now. And I did a video where I explained this in detail. But we now want to do alphanumerical. So we're going to try to combine the letters and the numbers. So we used MN 1314, ACMADN, and 134145. And we put that in there, and I kind of have to pick a finite place to stop, or we're going to get too involved. But then down here we took MN and 45 and DMVENW, and then we took 41322544123, and I paired them off. So there's your number, and there's your letter and number sequence. And I paired them off, 2 letters and 2 numbers. And the theory being, of course, that if this were a quantum computer, which it looks like, but anyway, it would take and run this in multiple orders, or every order possible. So we just paired them off, MN and 13, so AC 14. So what you got was MN 13, AC 14, MA 45, DN 41, MN 32, DM 25, VE 14, and W 23. And I found some really interesting stuff because at first I ran these randomly. I was so excited that I spaced for the moment that I was running categories. And there's some really interesting stuff. But we start with the stock market. And remember, the stock market is one of the things, finance and markets were 2 of the things that it specifically spoke about in that article involving quantum computers that I shared in, I think, second to last video. So, but now we're in the stock market, and we're going to start with MN1. And then I believe we have MN13 and maybe 3A or 13A. I think 3A. And I just kind of ran letters and numbers all the way through. So we start with M1, and M1 is Magnet Ordinary Shares Futures. MN1 right here, futures chart. So you got a company on the stock market. If you move on from that, you have N13 is next, and you have N13 here, Nano Explorer Incorporated on the Frankfurt Exchange. All right, you move on from that, you have N1, and N1 ends up being N1 Technologies Incorporated on the NTCHF. I'm guessing that's the market. This is on Yahoo Finance. If we move on from that, you have 13A. How about order granting approval of amendment number 13A of the Securities and Exchange Commission? And down here is amendment 13A right there. So, and there it is again, amendment 13A. Published for comment in the Federal Register on February 3rd, 2004, the Commission received no comment letters on Amendment 13A. And I'm not going to get into it because there's so much to get through, but Amendment 13A of the Securities and Exchange Commission, and that directly deals with the stock market, even though it isn't a company on it. So I found that to be interesting. Law, rules or regulations and laws here. So anyway, if we move on from that, you got 13AC. And 13AC is BAE Systems PLC. And right here, well, I can't highlight it because I don't accept the cookies, but here is 13AC. Right there. All right, moving on, you have 3AC. And 3AC is right here on the Frankfurt Exchange. Actinogen Medical Ltd. So there's a medical company on the Frankfurt, 3AC. Again, that's right here. All right, if we move on from that, we have AC1. And AC1 is right here. And it is Astronics Corporation on the Frankfurt Exchange. All right, you move on from that. You have C14. Right? Yes, C14. All right. And C14 ends up being CWT Limited on the SGCX C14. Right there. So if we move on from that, you have 14M. And there's your 14M right here. And it ends up being Macquarie Infrastructure Holdings LLC on the Frankfurt. All right. If we move on from that, you've got um, 4M. 4MA, excuse me. And you got STHN.PAC 4MA price. And that's right here, 4MA. It's the name of the company, or the name on the stock market anyway. There's its ticker symbol. And its market is London. It's on the London market. And the type is bond. So, all right. And if we move on from that, we have A4. And A4 is a brand of Adidas. So, and here's its share price. So, A4 is a brand of Adidas. And its share price is 253.20 euros as of 12/17/21. All right. Move on from that. And you have 45D. You have 26 U.S. Code 45D. New Markets Tax Credit. You also have 45D, First Business Financial Services Incorporated stock price quote on Bloomberg. And there it is. You can see it real fast. Or maybe it's going to let me this time. Before it told me I had to be a member, but there's 45D right there. All right, if we move on from that, you got 45DN. And 45DN, New Day Fund B24 share price. And there's your 45DN. All right, if we move on from that, you have DN4. And DN4 ends up being Dogan Circular Grubu Holding AS stock price quote. Let's see if it was the same thing that told me I had to be a member at one point. There it is. But you can see DN4 there. But anyway, we're going to move on from that to N4. And N4 ends up being N4 Pharma PLC. So clearly a pharmaceutical company on the London Exchange. All right, we're going to move on from that to DN41. And DN41 ends up being financial advisor Brock Lesby, DN41, Lincolnshire. And then you also have financial advisor Healing DN41. So these are let's see. These are definitely financial advisors. Get valuable stock market information and data to help you easily identify value stocks via our. So they give valuable stock market information and data. So there'd be a lot to calculate there. Now, if we move on from that, you have No, get off of there. You have 32MN, and that ends up being Market Edge News. So a lot of market stuff to be calculated here. This is on money control. All right, if we move on from that, you have 32D. And 32D, and there it is, 32D on the Frankfurt ends up being DHI Group Incorporated. So, and if we move on from that, you have 2DM. 2DM closes investment round with CBMM Niobium Global Leader. And so 2DM, looks like they're in some sort of research here. But anyway, if we move on from that, you have M25. And M25 is a brand of Nissan Motors. Share price looks like it's 4.32 euros. All right, if we move on from that, you have VE1. And VE1 ends up being, and there's VE1 on the Hanoi Stock Exchange. And VE1 ends up being VNE Co. 1 Electricity Construction JSC. So if we move on from that, you have 14N. 14N, the Residential Investment Core Stock Price Quote. And a lot of these, 14N, yeah, there you go. Got to be a member. but it's a stock price quote. And if you move on from that, you have finally W23 and W23. Oh, stop. Ends up being Woolsworth Group venture capital arm. W23 invests in Australian startup marketplacer ahead of marketplace launch. So W23 is Woolworth Group Ventures capital arm. So, well, that gets you through going forwards in the stock market. This will be part 1A, and part 1B will come back or attempt to come back. I probably bit off a little more than I wanted to chew here, but also I wanted to see what's going on with it. And so far, well, we're through going forwards. I haven't even checked back yet, but we will, and that'll be the next part in the coming days. These take some time to get into and get through. So, anyway, for now, guys, thanks for all your thumbs up, thumbs down when appropriate. Thanks for all your comments, leads, feedback, and subscriptions. And thanks for watching, guys. And for now, you guys have a great rest of your day.